So basically, we are looking at Anapanasati with the neuroscience, okay? Because they are interlinked, and it would be good to know why Buddha talks about Anapanasati, which will take you to liberation, complete liberation. Okay, that's straight. It's there in Anapanasati Sutta, MN 118. So if we just follow what is there, then from Asotapanna to Arhat is possible. Or if we follow um, MN 62 Maharahulavada Sutta, it does the same thing. Okay. So what I'm trying to inform you is that knowing little bit of, or rather good amount of physics, chemistry, mathematics, and biology is very important. I think we have dropped in school and we might not have gone through it, or we might not really bother to look at it. So I thought, let me, except for mathematics, I think I can show you on biology, physics, and chemistry. But if you're interested in mathematics, then we can go through surds and equations and Venn diagram to integration, differentiation, trigonometry, etc. So basically, all that brings here. Okay. In fact, going through science is the best way to understand how this works than the other way around, because you can create proof of concepts. And at least some of us here are from engineering background or from software world or hardware world. It doesn't matter which world, but at least we could see it, how this whole thing works. And those people who don't know about technology or science, they have to take it with a pinch of salt that it works that way. I can't now start a class on basic physics and chemistry and like that. And then there are many other things within physics and then also in chemistry and in biology. So I don't think so. We have to run through that route. But a little bit of disclaimer on what we are achieving. It's about getting a motivation on Anapanasati. Okay, sati is the keyword there. Sati means to remember, to be mindful, to be aware, and on Anapana. Okay, so that's the preamble with which we are starting. So we can divide this into four parts. One is on a brain wave, where a lot of research are being taken up on alpha, beta, theta, gamma waves. Okay, and these are very interesting when we really look at when a person is meditating. I'm talking about closed eyes meditation. And if you were to be put with a transmitters above and with EEG, if you can measure, then you can measure the alpha frequency and the beta and the theta and gamma and delta. These are the five of them, which generally are looked. Gamma represents, let's say, the most peaceful state. That is in Pali, Upasama. So if somebody is in Upasama or not, or Upasama, you can check the gamma. If the gamma waves are top and all the other waves are bottom, that means his mind or his brain is in parasympathetic nervous system and mind is fully calmed. There's nothing which is causing um, any issues. Okay. So it's very interesting to go through these neuro sciences, neuropsychology, and all of that. And not talking of medicine per se, but on the research side of how things work. If we know how this works, you get motivation and you also know what is coming. If you get this, what it is called as, or what nerve, what muscle, what tendon, what ligament is being pulled, right? You can see, just like to do this, there is a lot of chemistry which is happening just to do this. So if, supposing you were to know the chemistry of it, the neurochemistry of it, you would have anatta experience instantaneously. So you don't have to keep on saying anatta, anatta, and all that, or anicca, 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 like one parrot singing, because you will yourself see it as anicca. So there's nothing extraordinary about anicca, dukkha, anatta, because that tilakkhana is nature. It's everywhere. It's nothing to do with why you should not believe in, or why you should not trust in, or why you shouldn't experience in anicca, dukkha, anatta. So basically, the Dhamma is nature. It's just the nature of things. There's nothing hanky panky about it, or hanky dory about it, or something extraordinary about it that you need to create an environment to do that. No, in the natural environment, you can find out exactly how things work and make your nature. That means don't have a mental attitude which is against the nature, because it doesn't work. So we will be going through thermodynamics. We will also be going through many other things relating to isotopes, and we'll take up on the molecules and atoms and how that changes, why it is called as an atom, why it is called as a molecule, and how does it change, what is an ion. Maybe we would have studied in school and we would have forgotten all about it, that you ever studied all about it. And you start believing in Pali, and you think knowing Pali is very greatest ever thing. No, Pali or Nepali doesn't matter. You should know how things work. That's all what it is. So you don't have to get obsessed with Pali. And the question which has been asked for me through these many years is, how did you learn Pali? That is a ridiculous question. How does it matter whether I knew Pali from my past life, or I know Pali from my future life, or this life? That's immaterial. What is required is, how do you get liberation? It's not Nepali or Pali is going to bring me liberation. In fact, there are a lot of PhD holders in our group who have done Buddhism PhDs. Okay, but I don't know what's the use with that. And they have also done their graduation in Pali. They have done MA, Master of Arts in Pali, or something like that. Doesn't matter whether you know Pali or Nepali or Dharma Pali or this Pali, it doesn't matter. Okay, so with that, let's start one by one. Today, I will take a little bit of neuroscience and more of chemistry. And tomorrow, we will take neuroscience with physics. And then I'll go to particle physics. And then we go deeper into physics. I don't know how deep I need to jump into physics unless you are really interested. So we'll see how it goes. If it is going above your head, you can raise your hand that that's it, I can take, and I can't take it anymore, and I will stop ripping you off. But otherwise, if you can understand particle physics and nuclear physics and all of that, it's interesting. Okay. Hang on tight and we'll have a nice tour. Okay. So basically, coming to the aspect of neuroscience, I had shared one screenshot or image from ChatGPT after our what we did day before yesterday on Friday. Hope you have seen it, but if you have not seen it, it is not an issue. So first you need to know that from Dhamma perspective, we are a collection of habits. Okay, so when a person jumps into a womb, it's just a habit pattern which has come. And in Titayatana Sutta, Buddha explains this in a most beautiful sense, that how this brings an existence. Because that's Patisamutpada. So why am I here is because of habit. Nothing else. So avidya pachaya sankhara to jara marana soka, that is an habit pattern. So if you cut the habit, you're basically done with it. So now how does the habit get formed? The habit get formed by seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, and cognizing. These are the 6 ways of creating any habit: good habit, bad habit, meditative habit, spiritual habit, luxurious habit, or whatever is habit. So in Pali, habit is known as gati. It also becomes destiny, but gati means habit pattern. So sugato, su means good. Dugato means dugati means that bad habits. So what does a habit do? It makes a repetition. So what is samsara? It is repetition. Simple. So you repeat what you did yesterday. So today you repeat what you did yesterday, and tomorrow you're going to repeat what you are going to do today. So there is a past, future, and present, right? So atita, anagata, pachuppanna. We take that, it's a past, future, and present. It's a habit. Now, this habit in neuroscience is known as default mode network. You created a network which by default goes there. Whether you created in your past life or this life or a combination of past life and this life due to conditions that appeared, conditioning is sankata in Pali. That means there is a condition, there's an underlying condition, maybe genetic condition, maybe psychological condition, maybe physiological condition. Physiology means body, psychology means mind. Psychosomatism means that psycho is the mind, somata is the body, right? So it's mind and matter. So nama and rupa, to be precise. So I am is nama and rupa, mind and matter. Clear? So now the question comes, where is the mind? That we don't know. In science, we had to really unearth, is the mind separated from brain? But as far as the neuroscience goes, there are neurons, which means something is firing. That means it's electrical impulses. So basically, electricity is there in the body, electricity is there outside. So you require electrical circuits to run a machine. And this thing is a machine. And if something is a machine, it runs as a process. So they can't be a person. That's what is meaning by anatta. There's no soul to run this engine or the machine. It's just a batch programming. If you run this batch, it will only run this kind of programs, one after the other. If you take another set of program, it will showcase another set of result. So when I say a person is good, he's running a good program. And if somebody is bad, he's running a bad program. And the program is run in the brain. Obviously, where else? So basically, what I do is that I am taking the neural pathways, just like in a network, there are network pathways where you create an IP address and one IP address to another IP address and connect to systems. So now you can transfer data between this computer and that computer. Or if you have a Wi-Fi, and then if you're sharing Wi-Fi between two devices on wireless, that means wireless frequency should exist. Otherwise, there's nothing called wireless. So then how many frequencies are there? There are many frequencies. So you can have radio frequency, RF. Like that, you can go to each one of these frequencies. And then in each frequency, there is a modulation. This is called FM, frequency modulation. You modulate the way it should be. So this body, this mind can be modulated. It's a modulator. So whatever impressions you're bringing in is just a modulation through body, speech, and mind. So somebody speaks harsh, his modulation is harsh. Somebody modulates it very nicely, very sweet, meaning subhasita. So he's modulated in a best way. So you're using the instrument to the best possible way rather than the worst possible way. If I use in a worst possible way, it damages the system. Why? Because the neural pathway which gets created are of dukkha. And the neural pathway, which, if it is good, will give you sukha. So the tendency of a neural pathway which will get into bad are 10 immoral deeds. That brings in dukkha. Got nothing to do with whether you do it or you don't do it. So let's say you do a panatipata. A simple thing is that my life expectancy reduces. Obviously. Why? You have lost energy. So you've done something, or let us say I have done something, which then should have a cascading effect. So everything in life is cause and effect. It cascades down. So when we say four apayas, it's cascading. It's got nothing to do with, oh, I don't want to enter into apayas. Don't cascade. Simple. So it's logical, it's mathematics. So Patisamutpada formula is a mathematical equation. This being, this comes to be. With the arising of this, this arises. This not being, this does not come to be. With the cessation of this, this ceases. It's a mathematical equation. It remains the same all the time. So if I'm running a machine with the wrong inputs, I can't expect a right result. It's impossible. How on earth can that happen? It doesn't happen. If I give a proper input to the machine, it gives me proper result. Input, output. See, I give a wrong input, I get wrong result. I give a right input and I get a right result. So in Pali, because people are obsessed with Pali, I can say sabba papasa akaranan kusalasa upasampada sachitta paryodapanan etenas buddhana sasanam. And everybody will just recite sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And they don't know what they are saying. Well said, well said, well said. That's it. Nothing to be obsessed again with sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. It's just well said. Why? Well said. Because it doesn't trigger the wrong neurochemicals. It triggers proper neurochemicals. Now, the neurochemical doesn't know you're good or bad. It just executes a batch file. Whatever batch file you're bringing in, and it just executes it. It doesn't know what are you doing. So then what does it do then? The brain learns by repetition. That's all it knows. If you repeat one thing all the time, it feels that is what you require. So when I see someone and when I compare, I should get dissatisfaction. It's arati in Pali. That should bring in isa, which is jealousy. So then what should happen? There should be an inner contraction in feel. So the feeling, Vedana, is dukkha. Right? Now, how this whole process works. I see someone being garlanded, being appreciated, getting some award, getting some recognition. That gives me a comparison between me and that. But I want that. When I want that, it is abhiccha in Pali. It means what? It means excessive desire. That's it. There's nothing more to it. Abhi-ichcha is abhiccha, right? So excessive. Now, let's say, take Chirag as an example. He has done his master's. He has done, what I say, if he's from IIT and he is in US working, all that. I might be knowing equivalent to what he knows on science or on engineering or on mathematics or on whatever. So I feel, why am I not? Right? And what the neurotransmitter is going to do with this is going to create a wrong chemical. That's what it's going to do because it's threatened. So, amygdala is the place in the brain which gets into threat mode. So, what does it do? It does something crazy. So, the comparison, when it happens, it creates a picture. And the moment a picture happens, dissatisfaction should be the result. That's the Dhamma which comes. So, I am terribly dissatisfied that Chirag is in US, is doing pretty well, and I'm not doing well, even though I might be doing exceedingly well than Chirag. But for now, I feel cheated. And it creates me issa in Pali, or irsha in Sanskrit, or jealousy in English. When I am in jealous, what should happen? The heartbeat goes up and the breath will have disconnection. So the breath becomes faster, the breathing becomes faster because adrenaline is getting released in the blood. The more the adrenaline, it comes to sympathetic nervous system for fight and flight. So now I see Bobby, and Bobby is more happy. So I leave Chirag and put Bobby because in 50 cents he can go across Brisbane. So I feel he is very lucky. And I will drop Chirag because I had to do IIT, which I couldn't do it. And then anyway, he's younger to me and smarter than me. And maybe when I go to US, I'll skip him, not meeting him because I can't stand his success. But in this, but with Bobby, I can be even because he's not an engineer. He's not done his IIT, and he was some HVAC electrical some person, and he was used to sell something, so which is okay. But I'm very upset with Bobby also because he's staying in Brisbane, traveling in 50 cents. So supposing he gives me 50 cents and the train, will it relieve my suffering? Yes, it does. It 100% does. So I am eager to go to Brisbane, spending 60, 70,000 rupees by giving him something that I will give you maybe liberation, and he will buy that bullet saying that I can give him liberation. So he'll sponsor my ticket and I'll tell Marin, please help me. And she'll say, okay, Vilas ji, we'll do it. So this time around, I'll again go with him because if I stay with Shaniel, he will not allow me to go by train. And then I want to go with Bobby by train. That's the whole idea. So seeing someone grow, it brings me issa or jealousy. And that gets an adrenaline pull. That's all. Nothing else is happening. The more the adrenaline, the more the hallucination. Of what? That I'm not doing well. Now, if somebody takes me to a psychiatry, no. Psychotherapist, the therapist is going to talk to me, counsel me, hey, Vilas, let it go. You are doing so much, you have so much money, you are this and that. And that idiot gives me some counseling. For that moment, I feel very happy because from sympathetic nervous system, it comes to parasympathetic nervous system. So there is rest and digest. So just relax. So the inner contraction is gone. Now somebody suggested me, Vilasji, you know what you should do? You do this Vipassana, Goenkaji. One. Especially when you are comparing with Bobby, I think you should do it. So I'll tell Bobby, book me 10 days in Pomona because you've been telling me Pomona, so I need to sit in Pomona. Okay. Now, sitting meditation gives you a peaceful feeling because of the environment. not because it's really peaceful. So what it says is that I am getting progression. I'm progressing on the path. It's actually bullshit. I'm not progressing on any path. It's working because of external environment, not because of internal environment. What is external environment working there? Number one, you are not speaking. Good news. Because Musavada, Pisunavacha, Parusavacha, Champapalapa, what Buddha talks, cannot be done there. That means the sympathetic nervous system cannot take over. And then abhijja vyapada michhaditi, out of that abhijja vyapada, you cannot take it there. Because you have been given such a royal thing where the volunteers are helping you and all that. So you generally, a person going there will feel compassionate to those people. So karuna is coming. So when the karuna comes, is GABA, which we will be covering it. So GABA is one neurochemical which gets produced in enough quantity. So you make it feel so happy, so calm, so composed, so beautiful. And the external environment, like the trees, greenery especially, helps you in calming your brain or nerves, basically. So the sympathetic nervous system doesn't get a chance. So when we see greenery, we feel, very nice. Okay, so then you get this. Then you're not speaking, you're being taken care, and the environment is good. Guess what should happen? You should feel happy. So the trigger here is the trigger would have been restlessness. But the trigger here is composed. Because I see everyone composed. Obviously, I'm also composed. Because we learn by habitual. So if somebody, like in school, when the first day at school, the children are making sound. But after a few days, they learn. So we learn. That's the reason Buddha says, what? Sabbakaya pati samvedi asasi sameti sikhati. He learns. It's all about learning. So when you go to school, you learn. When you go to Vipassana center, you learn. Again, you learn. Right? So what did you learn? Not to fuel trigger. For triggering, you require speech. And they've cut speech. And when somebody cuts speech, what happens? The general tendency of gossiping, talking, will end. That is it. That's the end of suffering. And you're asked to close eyes. Even more better. What happens? The neural pathway doesn't get eyes as one of the key extraction. So 70% of distraction is cut by closing eyes. So what you're left is 30% hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. Now you see this fun. Nose you can't cover, but the tongue can be controlled. So they'll give you once in the morning, 6:30, and at 11. After that, that's it. And if you are a person who is um, regular to VRI, then the morning snack is for first timers, but you will get only at 11. So basically, if you keep somebody hungry, the senses cannot go out. Now, what happens if you don't give food? If you don't give food, autophagy starts. What is, I'm coming to biology now. What is autophagy? Autophagy is a process where the body eats itself for survival. So it triggers many neurochemicals which will calm down the whole system. So when a person does fast, initially the person feels irritated, but over a period of time he feels more elevated because autophagy is taken. In fact, one Japanese scientist got a Nobel Prize for finding out the body eats itself. You can search on the net and search for autophagy and you will find it. So, if you go to VRI, what do you get? A controlled environment where your neurotransmitters are not overworked. And when you come home, why it doesn't work? Because that controlled environment is no longer available. Now you can't close your eyes and sit for 8 hours or 10 hours like one Buddha statue. So your neurotransmitters are again back in the same firing zone. And you have no idea how to fix this guy up, right? And that's it. And the biology goes for a toss because you have never understood chemistry. And somebody who knows chemistry of it can really understand. This is what was there, and this is what is not there now. Like in the US, we are going to have this retreat. Let's say we do it as a closed eyes meditation for 10 days, starting from September 4th to September 13th. It would resemble like VRI because the place what they've selected is beach place, which is very good. Seeing that environment itself, many of your neurotransmitters will be working to the optimal. So you feel peaceful and you think the peace is given by me, which is another bullshit. I didn't bring any peace there. The location got you peace. And then I will ask you to close your eyes. 70% of distraction is gone. What remains is 30%. I will ask you not to speak. 90% of your distraction is gone. What remains is only 10%. And in that 10%, if you are on the breath for most of the time and you're watching body sensation, you will gain very good footing. So the brain learns by repetition, creates a stronger habit, and when you come back, that habit is broken. There's no way to fix that habit. So what happens? Addiction starts because arati kicks in. Arati is dissatisfaction. So by nature, you get the new neural pathway which tells you to rebook another session. So what the person does? He does what a drug addict will do. He will go and book another session, another retreat. And he does 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And many 10 days, many 20 days, many 30 days, many 45 days, many 1 million also. But he doesn't understand what is really happening. It's neural network, man. It's not got nothing to do with VRI. You can do the same thing sitting right at this place. Don't have to do anything. But what to do? You're so habituated to believe that this is a good thing. Aha! Welcome to the world of neuroscience, where what doesn't exist can be made existing by changing the quantity of your neurons firing into a particular chemical. And that will bring you a particular kind of experience, which is Vedana. So the person gets addicted to Vedana, and hence Buddha says Vedana is anicca and anatta because you can't take it as mine. It is chemical. Come on, what stupid are you? So VRI is one chemical. It's a chemical factory. You go and link yourself to that chemical factory, and then guess what? You get stuck there forever. Why? That's a habit pattern. So you created a new default mode network, which was even, this is now becomes worse than the real default mode network, because neurons that fire together wire together. And neuroplasticity means that if you do a habitual thing, it becomes a default setting. And that's it. Now, raga comes. If I don't go to VRI, I'm missing something. Raga. I'm not getting holiday. I'm not getting leave, sanction, dvesha. Fear that I cannot complete it if I don't do it. So the person starts hallucinating and comparison. Oh, somebody did 30 days and he got this, he got that, blah, blah, blah. And then enjoy the neurochemical ride. And then he entertains wrong thoughts. That is, he will become violent with himself. So Nekkhamma Sankappa is replaced with what? Kama. Vyapada Vitakka is should have got replaced. He becomes Vyapada instead of Abhyapada. Instead of Avihimsa, he becomes Vihimsa. So he keeps on repeating the same thing again and again, asking for different result, which doesn't work. You have to change your experiment to get different results. You can't do the same experiment and expect different result. Not possible. So overall, what happens is that becomes a self-story or a habit pattern, which in Pali called papancha sanya sankha, samudacharanti, atita, anagata, pachupanna. Enjoy the ride. So this is the first part of neurochemistry. What I'm talking about, habit patterning. Okay? You create this habit, it multiplies. Its job is to multiply. So you just keep on multiplying and multiplying and multiplying effort. It's the neurochemical which is doing it to you, not anybody else. That's all what's happening. So going back to this, what I had shared earlier is simple way. What Buddha defined is 5 khandhas: Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. The cognition can happen due to neurochemicals. So you can't say Vijnana is mine, because it's a neurochemical which is driving the whole thing. So the peace experience is a neurochemical experience, not that there's something peaceful there. It's a chemical. It's really a chemical. So I feel very amused when people say I'm eating organic food. You know what's organic chemistry? It's carbon. When you say I'm eating organic food, what are you trying to say? You're eating carbon and the whole body is carbon. What do you mean? And in fact, you have ions in your body, which is inorganic chemistry as well. It's a combination of organic and inorganic. So the whole matter is just a collection of inorganic and organic. How stupid of us to market something called as organic and make money out of it. There's nothing in this world called organic. But then that sells. So somebody will go hundreds of kilometers to buy organic food because the plastic cover on which it is sold, which is created out of inorganic chemistry, is polymers, because he's putting it in polymer. It is plastic, right? It's polymer. It's inorganic chemistry. And he's putting organic substance into an inorganic, which becomes inorganic anyway. And then they use this English beautiful language called organic farming. Superb. Your whole body is chemical. Whether you call it organic, you call it inorganic, you call whatever, it's just chemicals. What a stupid way to say that I'm eating organic substance. Anyway, so Buddha made the rupa of any kind, any shape, any structure, any color, anything having patavi, apo, tejo, vayo is not yours. Absolutely. Can you claim any chemical to be yours? Then, if the chemical is not yours, this whole body is a chemical body. Then the feeling you're getting out of that chemical body, can you say it's mine? No. So that's exactly what he's explained to Rahula. Atita anagata, ajhatta bahita, olarika sukama, hina panita, santike dure, all of this, nitam mama, neso ahamasmi, na eso me atta. Beautiful. Why? The flow diagram, if I see, because of the contact, there is a feeling. Because of the feeling, there is a perception. Because there is a perception, there is formations or choices or preparation or volitions, whatever you want to call that in English, right? And then the vijnana creates an habituated loop. And comes the DMN, direct mode network. And in that, you will find partners, beautiful looking partners, tanha and upadana. You crave for that experience and you hold on to that experience to be true. And guess what? The brain has a circuitry, it comes back. So you literally look at your brain, the brain stem is where everything is happening. The prefrontal cortex here is rarely used because that is where the logic works. So you need to be a mathematician to have a good logic, at least a software programmer, so to say. All other professions don't have logic. And most of the people are illogical. They seem logical, but they are illogical. They are more, that's the reason Buddha calls it as putujana, childlike people. You can fake them anything you want. They get a placebo effect for everything. So they go to a VRI and get a placebo effect and they come back thinking they got something, but no, it's placebo. It's exact placebo. There's nothing in there. It's a sugar, what I can say, medicine, which doesn't have anything, no medicinal properties, but make believe. So the chemicals which are fired because of the external environment makes you believe that you've got something, which is nothing. So because of this habit pattern, the upadana is the result. So he holds on to it, creates a viewpoint. Beautiful. So he gets into ditti vipallasa, distortion of view, because he's never understood it's a chemical which is making this. He thinks I am making it, I am getting it, I am progressing. No, it's anatta. It's just a process driven programming. Your process is perfect, you get a perfect result. If process is bad, you still get a bad result. There's a result. So Asajji talking to Sariputta, he got Sotapanna because he exactly explained how a scientist should explain to another investigative person. E Dhamma hetu pabhava, tesam hetum tatagato aha, tesam yo nirodho evam vadi samano, or mahasamano. And for that, Sariputta uttered one line. What? What did he utter? Can you tell me?
Yam kinchi samudaya.
Yam kinchi samudaya dhammam sabbam tam nirodha dhammam iti. And why did he become a Sotapanna? Not that he had to listen to a huge discourse. No, e dhamma hetu pabhava. Any dhamma, any phenomena which arises like a sunrise and sunset is a phenomena, has a basically has a hetu, there's a cause. Nothing arises without a cause. So for a cause to arise, there should be a condition. Otherwise, how can it arise? How can a cause arise without a condition? The condition is sankata. Till here is fine. Tesam hetum tatagato aha. Tathagata explains all the plausible conditions, all the plausible causes. So why this body is like this? There should be a cause. So I am an mathematician who believes in logic. And what's the logic? Everything should have a reason. It's not God giving it, or not somebody just happens by random and we don't know what it is. No, everything has a cause and effect. So I am looking for a person who can tell me what's the cause for this effect. It's mathematics. It's not illogical, it's perfectly logical, perfectly proven. Why? If you put that experiment, it works all the time. You just give this condition, it works. If you remove that condition, it doesn't work. Perfect. So, tesam, this one, you nirodho, how do you exhaust it? That's more interesting for me. Evam vadi samana brahman, sorry, mahasamano. This has been spoken by that Mahasramana. It's exactly what I want. All of these days, people were saying, don't worry about the cause, only worry about the effect. Some people were saying there is only effect, there's no cause. Some people were saying there's only cause and there's no effect. Like if I tell a lie, there's no effect right now. So that's still a Dhamma. So now I know the five khandhas are the cause and the condition to be called as vilas. And if I know that, what happened? From the neuroscience language point of view, asa contact turns itself into a sensory contact, six senses contact, so to say, which is salaytana, right? That means if I see the phone here and I read something about who has sent me what message, then what do I see? I start remembering. Now, where does the remembrance come? That is sati. But where does it come? It comes from habit. It self-references. It goes to DMN. What do I do now? I will change it. I will just say contact has arisen, not I am got contacted by someone. Contact has arisen. Now comes the feeling. Can be a mental feeling or a bodily feeling. Now when I get the feeling, what does the neuroscience say? It says a particular feeling has arisen. Something like what Buddha says. Is it pleasant or unpleasant or neutral? So check the feeling before reacting, because that is driven by chemical. Vilas, it is chemical driven. Wait for a second, that chemical will drop off. So if I take four of these chemicals, which are basically called happy hormones, One is dopamine, second one is serotonin, third one is oxytocin, fourth one is endorphin. There are many chemicals, but let's take four. What's a happy chemical? Happy chemical means you have a balanced or nice way of handling things. So you get chanda, interest. If the interest drops, the dopamine drops. So if somebody is, I don't know what, don't talk to him. That idiot is going to drain you off. He has lesser dopamine, lesser serotonin, lesser oxytocin, and he's a pain in the ass, which is endorphin. Just skip, run away from that person. And that too, first thing in the morning, you wake up and you feel, just leave him and go. Not worth it. Because he is hunger for energy. He will sap your energy by putting some things on you, which will take you more time to explain to that idiot. You just look at him. Oh, very good. Okay, okay, great. Don't watch any news or any views which the people are fighting because they drain your energy. They cut off your dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphin. You start feeling the pain. After watching that 1 hour melody drama, you are not in any melody right now. You are in severe pain. So ignore those people. Have upekha. Shut in your mind. If that person is standing and talking, you just make an assessment that which chitta has come. Saraga, sadosa, samoha, sankhita, vikhita. Just don't associate. Asevana cha balanam panditanam cha sevana. Puja cha pujaniyanam etam mangalamuttamam. Not that you should run away physically, but off in the because he's going to make you weary. He'll put you in some things, and because he doesn't know, he's a putujana. Come on, you are a bala or a pandita. Bala means childlike. Pandita means one who knows. Don't engage. You be laughing, smiling, giggling, whatever you have to do, you do it, but don't engage inside. No engagement. Then what happens? You don't lose the happy hormones. Because to produce those happy hormones, you require time. It doesn't happen instantaneously. So your day is spoiled. That idiot will put something in your mind and go away. But you will have to bear the consequence because it's a loop. And the mind loops itself. So your brain starts bringing back the same memories. And again, the draining happens. Again, the same memories. Again, the drain happens. Again, the same memory. Again, the drain happens. Now you will manifest it as reality. So, whomever you meet such person only. If you want to go to a mental hospital, book at your next retreat in you know where. And everything looks nice. When you come back, somebody will come and steal your dopamine, serotonin. If he takes out serotonin from you, you had it. Melatonin is a sleep hormone, it cuts off. So you'll have sleepless night because you don't have serotonin. Be careful in donating serotonin. It's one chemical which is very rare to get in a proper proportion. Unfortunately, serotonin will make the dopamine also go away. So you get depression. And your kidney will go for a toss. Because for kidney, running good kidneys, it requires dopamine. So guess what? Your kidney will get screwed up. And your pancreas will overwork. And one after the other, organs starts to get stressed out, which activates what? It activates sympathetic nervous system. So the stress response is cortisol and adrenaline gland. Overworking of adrenaline gland will literally spoil your thyroid hormone. And then your TCH level will go for a tower. So you get thyroid, hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, whichever way it works. And once your thyroid is gone, your pituitary gland will malfunction. One after the other, your biological clock is in for trouble. So those people who would like to engage with some very nice people can do so at their own risk. Okay, you're going to get those kind of people for sure. So you have to be careful. What kind are you having, right? So this is one part. We'll do the neuroscience tomorrow, more of neuroscience, but I'll introduce to you chemistry. So what is a periodic table? And today, as of today, there are 118 elements which have been discovered. Then earlier it used to be 106 elements. Now we have 118 elements in the periodic table. And if you see a generic periodic table, it's there on internet, so I don't have to share the screen and show you the periodic table. But if you see the periodic table, there are rows and columns. I think if you have seen in your schools, your teacher would have said about group 1 and group 2 and group 3 and group 4, and you have 7 groups. And then in those 7 groups, the lanthanides and actinides, and that is the element starting with one particular range to another particular range are lanthanides, and then you have actinides. So it's AC and LR to be, that is the symbol for each one of these elements. So let me introduce to you what you have learned in school and how you have forgotten, and then how it is important to understand, especially those people who have got bhanga jnana by doing VRI technique, and they don't know what stuck them. It's actually chemistry more than anything else. So knowing chemistry would make sense, because then you know what happened when they call it as bhanga, dissolution, right? So periodic table is organized into a chemical element. It's all about elements. And like Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, which Buddha calls as elements, here we have real elements. Like it takes a particular name and a particular nomenclature in the periodic table. So elements are organized by atomic number, like carbon is always 6. Why 6? Because of the photons in that is 6. So you depict something by the number of photons, and they have electrons and neutrons, which we are going to come into that a little bit from now. So the rows and columns, so rows are called periods and the columns are called as groups. So standard periodic table, if you take up, becomes 7 periods, including 18 groups of elements, totaling up to 118. Okay. So basically, there is an international body which keeps track of these periodic table and the names and how they are arranged and all of that. So as of 2016, we have 118 elements. Okay. Now, what's the meaning of an element? Buddha's way of element is different than with Buddha talks it as Mahabhuta, Bhuta as in which can be seen, and Mahabhuta is that which is so minute that you can make an assessment of it, but not physically see, like Patavi. You can assess this is Patavi, right? So that's what. But in chemistry, we talk about a pure type of an atom. So if I say element, it's pure, a single atom, like oxygen, carbon, iron, gold, etc. So in a Dhamma reflection, if I were to put it, it is made out of elements. This body is made out of many. So an atom, when I say, is the smallest unit of an element. You can't divide more simpler than that. And it consists of, like if I take oxygen, it has an atom. Okay. Then there's a number associated with it, like C. C as in the element symbol, and atomic number 6, like hydrogen, is the first one. Because in this entire planet, or the stella, which means sky, or in the outer space, one which is in abundance is helium, hydrogen, and helium, on which everything is standing, right? So if I say stardust, we are made out of stardust because we have hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, like that. You can see basically some of the elements in us. So to be honest, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, potassium, calcium, iron, copper, zinc, and then iodine. These are the minimum things you can find in your body. Like iodine deficiency causes thyroid issue. Like phosphorus, it does something to you. Without phosphorus, potassium, you can't have a good heart. So potassium deficiency, like that. So each one of these vitamins, when we say vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D, etc., use molecule. So basically, we are coming from the element to the molecular form. Okay? So basically, you need to know that the entire me is nothing but a periodic table, right? So most important elements in our body, if I were to talk about it, is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. So you can basically say that this body building elements is CHONPS, to remember carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. If any variation in this, your body is going to break down. Okay. And you have electrolytes for nerve functioning: sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, chlorine. This is what is required for nerve function. So if you're feeling tingling sensation in your fingers, or you're having tremors, Parkinson disease, etc., it means that nerve functioning is gone for a toss. So either the sodium issue, or a potassium issue, or a calcium issue, or a magnesium issue, chlorine issue. And if you have blood, I guess you all have. Otherwise, I don't know what will you have. It's Fe. Fe means iron. So blood has iron. And they give iron capsule if they find your hemoglobin quantity is far below normal. So you are having anemia. So you need to be given blood transfusion, to medicines, to whatever, basically iron content. And it should have oxygen. Blood should have oxygen. So it's again. And now we talk about enzymes and regulation of enzymes and hormones. If you require iodine, thyroid, iodine, zinc, copper, selenium. So these are the things which are required to make up this entire healthy body. Clear? So this is chemistry. So Na means sodium. If you want to memorize NaK, K is potassium, C is calcium, magnesium, and chlorine. So it makes a fluid balance and helps the nerve in development. And iron is and oxygen is what makes blood. And then iodine and zinc and copper and selenium helps the body regulation. It takes care of your heat and all of that kind. Right? So basically, this is all the chemicals, chemistry, what you have. So you or me is a chemical bonding, a chemical element, or basically mystery. So if I see this, anatta can be seen because there's no atta here. What do you mean? Calcium is yours, potassium is yours, phosphorus is yours, sulfur is yours, or which is you? Oxygen is yours, nitrogen is yours. No, it's there in the nature. Okay. So if the chemical element 1 in the periodic table is hydrogen, it's because of the number of photons. So now there's 6 photons, which is what makes it as a carbon, as opposed to 1 photon, which makes it an hydrogen. So if I understand the periodic table of 18 rows and 6 columns, 7 columns, that's it. So Vilas is a combination of neurotransmitters on one side and chemical bonding on the other side. And that's it. And the mind, which is part of the brain, which functions based upon the chemicals. So number of photons in carbon is 6. So each element has a specific condition to take that in the periodic table. So that's exactly what Buddha says. It's a condition which makes something there or not being there. Iti imasmim sati idam hoti imassa uppada idam uppajjati. This being, this comes to be with the arising of this arises. So the carbon arises because of condition. Hydrogen arises because of conditions. Helium arises because of condition. So what should be there in your body is dependent on the food. So what Buddha says is ahara samudayo, rupa samudayo. That's it. The body is growing because of the food, and the food has all minerals. So there's no you in that. So the symbol, we can put whatever, O for oxygen, C for carbon, H for hydrogen, like that. And the period, like C and O, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. That's the period 2, horizontal row. So properties of each one of these changes across the row. And then you have a grouping, which is a vertical column. So in group 1, we can have lithium, sodium, K as potassium, which have similar chemical behaviors. And then we have valence electrons, that is outer electrons involving in bonding. Sodium loses 1 electron and hence becomes an ion. And they become molecules. So when you say molecules, it's a combination of elements like easy peasy lemon squeezy is H2O, water. Water is no water without 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen, which becomes a molecule. And then you have Jiffy, that is 2 separate atoms came together, making a bond. And what do you see? Apo. So if you say Apo is real, it's as real as atom. So if H2O is replaced by HO2, it becomes something different. And it becomes HO, it is something different. So as long as it is H2O with pH level 7, it's safe to drink as water. So we'll come to pH level later, but I'm just saying. So you require to know good amount of chemistry to understand what's happening here. So then there's no guesswork. It's purely experiential, experimental. So you don't have to really say that, I don't know how it works. Buddha said so. No. Buddha has said in a perfect scientific or like a scientist, maybe he has not used all of these terms, but then that's where it drives down to with his formula. What is Samutpada formula? That's basically what you and I need to see, right? So this is what we need to understand. There's an atomic number. As a carbon, as example, has 6 photons. Okay, and the symbol is C. The name is carbon. Atomic mass of carbon is 12. Okay, and I don't want to go into detail of every given thing. 1 second, there is some disturbances. Okay, now we come to how your energy is. If we use this word energy, it's ATP, adenosine triphosphate. You can also search on the internet and find a huge array of information about ATP. It's phosphate, triphosphate, adenosine triphosphate. I think the doctor sitting here can explain much better than me because they should know how energy functions. Okay. So adenosine triphosphate is there in mitochondria. Now I'm coming to biology from chemistry because you have to jump into biology also. So it's a cell. So if somebody says my cell, it's gone mad because none of us have seen the cell right now as I speak. And none of us know how the cell is reproduced and it is dying also. In fact, in 120 days, all your RBC, red blood cells, die, replaced by another set of red blood cells. So if you say, I am RBC, you're dying every 120 days. And for survival, for the cells to survive, it requires ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And heart requires the maximum ATP for a strong, steady beat. Otherwise, it becomes faint. And when the heartbeat is faint, it's called as bradycardia, an effect where your heartbeat is lower, so needs to be immediately taken into emergency ward to look at it. Or if tachycardia, again, too much of a heartbeat causing convulsions. So again, you take that person. Why? Because the ATP has gone out, meaning that chemical is no longer working. So what does ATP do to you? It's required for muscles, every brain activity, and the nerve signaling to make sure that the proper signalings are working. Ion exchange between the cells, heart function, digestion, metabolism, repair, healing, cellular maintenance, attention, posture, everything requires ATP. So supposing I want to sit for 2 hours meditation, it's not I'm saying 2 hours meditation. Come on, it's ATP. If you don't have ATP, you can't sit for 2 hours. Endorphins will just walk off. You get tremendous pain. And if you persist on that pain, the tissues will break. And when the tissues will break, the ligaments will get spoiled. Straightforward, you go to the hospital and remove your nice looking knee using knee surgery. Because he didn't know ATP is doing it. He thought he's doing it. So he did the aditana. Oh, you know what? I'm going to sit for 2 hours. Idiot. If you don't have ATP, you can't sit. Some people go hyper in these kind of cases. It's not you can do or you can't do. If you have ATP, you can do it. So go and find ATP so that your cell metabolism is good. So sitting meditation requires most ATP. Otherwise, sleepiness would ensure. So most of the people, their heads are going down because their ATP is unregulated. So their nervous system are failing and they don't know that is failing. Walking meditation also requires ATP for muscles contraction and expansion and coordination. If you're thinking, if you want to have attention and emotional regulation, you require ATP. If not, the person will get into OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, or ADHD because his ATP has gone. And the last one, tiredness, hunger, illness, poor sleep gets him the body chemistry going for haywire. So the biologically, his ATP is pretty low. So if you don't want fatigue conditions to have check out on your adenosine triphosphate day, without which you can't sit. So before you go to the next VRI retreat, make sure you have enough ATP. And ask the assistant teacher how to measure ATP. Let him measure it and give it to you. He will say, check that sensation. It's not the sensation, it is the ATP which is doing it. There's no sensation there. It's ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So knowing a little bit of chemistry saves you from wrong understanding of why something is working and why something is not working. And knowing a little bit of neuroscience helps you in coming out of madness. And rather knowing why this is happening to you, why this state of mind is there for you, and then you can change. And when you change the chemistry as well. And when you change the chemistry, it goes for the better because you have changed that chemistry. Okay. So basically, you need to know physics a little bit. Little bit, I don't know how little is little, but I think we all have studied in our school and school level. A fifth grader to the 10th grader is good enough. If you have done it in your college or post 10th grade, if you know up to 12th grade, beautiful. That's a foundation. So if you have known it properly and you know mathematics, you can really enrich your knowledge on how things work rather than assuming that there is some energy, there's some vibration, nothing like that. Yes, there is vibrations, and those vibrations, we will come to the brainwave later, where you will be able to measure the kilohertz at which a particular vibration happens. Right? The whole thing is vibrating. Exactly true. But you should know at what kilohertz. What hertz are we talking about? Are we talking at 110 hertz, or are we talking 500 hertz? Are we talking at 1200 hertz, or talking about 2300 hertz, or 50 hertz, or which hertz are you talking about? Without knowing that, makes no sense. That this place is filled with vibration, positive vibration. Now the question comes, what do you mean by positive? Are there ion exchange happening there? Because atoms, right? And then it should be losing atoms in order to become an ion. So it's molecules, not even an atom. So do I really know the difference between atom and molecule? Do you know the isotopes of that? And that's the thing we're going to take up tomorrow. So at present, I don't want to overload with all of this. So you should know there's no thing called as sensation. Why? Because physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology don't allow it. There's no thing like that. It's the chemicals which work. So if you change the chemical, it changes the composition. So you get how it should be. So I think by Thursday, we'll take Anapanasati Sutta, 16 steps with neuroscience. And I'll prove to you how each one will work. And then you will appreciate what Buddha is. Not the idol Buddha, and not the sectarian Buddha or a religious symbol Buddha. It's far beyond that. We have reduced it to I don't know, I don't have a proper word to explain it. It looks stupid. Anyway, we'll continue tomorrow. So, any questions so far? So, you understood the habit. To conclude, you understood the habits. Everything is a habit. So, that habit is like sankhara, right? It's sankhara when you say. So, there are three sankharas: punyabhi sankhara, apunyabhi sankhara, aninjabhi sankhara. These three sankharas. So, you create a habit. The punyabhi sankhara will give you good outcome. Apunyabhi sankhara will give you bad outcome. Aninjabhi sankhara will give you jhanic output. Any question? Anyone having any difficulty in understanding chemistry and neuroscience and physics and all that? I've still not come to physics. All good? Yes, Chirag.
Where can I find the reference for these three kind of sankharas? I just want to read them up.
Is there in every many suttas? What do you mean?
But what are they called again? I'll just look them up.
Yeah, you search for punyabhi sankhara, aninjabhi sankhara, and then you'll find it. In fact, there is a MN 106. It talks about aninja sapaya sutta. It talks about the entire how to create aninja. Aninja means unshakable. So that's a sankhara what you need to create. And in fact, that's a one sutta where it will help you to come to the proper jhana. And if you go to Vibhanga, there you will find about what a sankhara, and he will explain sankhara means the punyabhi sankhara, aninjabhi sankhara. Abhisankaronti. So you need to know Kajjaniya Sutta, where Buddha gives the explanation on what is a sankhara. Sankharonti, abhisankaronti, iti sankhara. Taking that abhisankhara, you need to find out on these three sankharas.
Thank you, sir. I'll look them up.
Yeah, please. Anyone, any other question? Wow, I understand that everyone has understood physics, biology, chemistry, and neuroscience. Beautiful. Yes?
So I think earlier in the lecture you mentioned that serotonin. I mean, you have to safeguard serotonin in your body because let's say, for example, if you associate with the let's say wrong people, quote unquote wrong people, it depletes quickly, and it's not something you can augment like by taking some supplements or anything, but it's your body gradually builds it up over time, right? Is that true for I don't know, is that true also for dopamine? I was just wondering, let's say this is about serotonin, but what about dopamine? I think dopamine is maybe something more frequently discussed, right? Let's say you engage in all kinds of like social media and so on, your dopamine drops down. So is it also something that your body builds up slowly over time?
Every one of these chemicals are built over time using the energy coming from the food, right? So the cells will develop ATP. It's your currency. Basically, if you're earning $100,000 per annum, you can't spend $150,000. So you lack currency, right? So then you don't have energy. So all of these neurotransmitters and hormones which gets developed in the brain is related to that. Let's say somebody spoils my day. Nobody is spoiling my day except that I took what he said to be true. So the first thing what happens is that I lose dopamine. That means the motivation goes down. Because I see when we meet someone, we say it's a pleasure to meet you. But when it turns into pressure, it becomes cortisol. That is, it comes to a stress hormone because now I'm in amygdala. So you need to know a little bit of brain as well. So you need to know that, it has come to amygdala. Amygdala is where you have the threat responses. So then you are working on threat. And so adrenaline rush in the kidneys from where it starts, it jumps everywhere. So you feel like flying or fighting with that person, fight and flight response, which is sympathetic response to it because it's a threat. It's an existential threat. Even though I'm talking to you, Chirag, it makes me feel an existential threat. That's how brain reads that it's an existential threat. So it comes to amygdala from the prefrontal cortex. And then what happens is the logic is gone. I'm more emotional now to handle it. So basically, glutamate is one neurotransmitter which is excitatory. It excites for good causes, it excites for bad causes. So when I have too much of this happening, so then it makes me go haywire on that. So it brings in overthinking, rumination, obsessive loops. So when I see you and I don't like last time what you said to me, it brings me that loop back saying that, hey, you're meeting Chirag and he told you this. Because it is having learning and memory and alertness. That's what it is supposed to do. But now it's gone on the other side of the fence. So I get agitated looking at you. You have not done anything to me so far, but I feel agitated and I start ruminating on what you had said me last week or whenever you said whatever you said to me. Unless I cut that loop feedback, this chemical keeps on producing, right? So it is taking from where? The body. So your ATP goes down. Adenosine triphosphate. I mean, you're spending more than earning, right? Now, since this is happening, norepinephrine is another neurotransmitter. Okay, it creates alertness, vigilance, and stress response, and it creates fight and flight response to you, to me. Basically, I'm talking to you. So now, what happens? The serotonin goes down because now epinephrine is going to eat away because now it is going on a drive saying that, hey, Vilas, there are alarms, come on, fix it up. So unless Chirag goes away from that scene, I can't relax. So hypervigilance creates hyperventilation. That means my breathing shifts. It creates more and more fear and panic, which brings in anger, urgency for survival. So ATP is from the food, whatever it had, plucked out. So the brain takes the maximum of the heat. So I get heated up. That's the reason people say heated up, because it's really heated up. So what happens to dopamine? What happened to serotonin? What happened to endorphins? Endorphin is pain. So basically it regulates pain. It is now painful. And oxytocin. These are the four happy hormones. So what is it now? Unhappy. So I feel really unhappy of meeting you. Okay. So I am not motivated any longer. And my serotonin level is low. So my mood is completely shifted. I'm in a worst mood and a very impulsive person. If Aryu comes and talks to me and he says something to me, I couldn't blast you. I will blast that poor guy, Aryu. He has not done anything. But I couldn't take it on Chirag because Chirag was stronger. He's a Punjabi the Munda. So he will okay, but then not anger. And I see Aryu, very soft guy, soft target. And he says something to me. Vilas, this is not there in this sutta. And another idiot is sitting here, Bobby. He will also put me saying that this Vilas ji, this sutta doesn't talk about that. That's the end of it. Now my adrenaline rush is so much that I have to blast. So I will first blast Harry and then I'll blast Bobby. Then I'm relieved. So in the process, the happy hormones turned out itself to be most unhappy. Because you know why? The social connection bonding is oxytocin. So there's no social bonding. So I can't bond with you at all, Chirag. And it's a chemical problem. It's not you who is doing it or I am doing it. If oxytocin level can be brought up, we'll again have a friendship. So you see this. If you don't drill into cortisol is a stress hormone, everything else is beautiful. The world is beautiful. If not, you're in dead meat, dead shit, or whatever it is, deep in shit. So norepinephrine is that transmitter which is required for regulating the heart rate. So it creates alertness. Then you had it. Hyperventilation happens. So most of the people die when they are angry because they can't take it. Epinephrine is when acute emergencies takes over. Energy is completely drained. Heart rate increases. Blood pressure increases. And he's stuck. And within few minutes, if there are any blocks in the heart, he will have heart attack. It's all because of adrenaline gland, over secretion of adrenaline. So if I meet someone whom I don't like, just stay silent. Watch the breath. Because that's the exact science I need to use to cut off these neurotransmitter from going haywire. Yes.
And I think that is because wherever your attention goes, your energy goes. So, if your attention is on the breath, then basically all these things which are threatening, they get cut off. And, then you can, let's say, prevent the spike of all these stressful neurotransmitters.
Yes. Not only that, it doesn't go into the sympathetic nervous system. You should be always in parasympathetic nervous system. Never get into sympathetic nervous system. Tomorrow we'll take it up on sympathetic, parasympathetic response, how it works, why sympathetic nervous system overworking will kill the person, and why parasympathetic nervous system is always relaxing. You will never get excited. You will show excitement, but you'll never excited. You will do what you're supposed to do. So there is always a response rather than reaction. What you're learning in VRI is not to react. But if you know the way of working, you can use it anytime. It's not that you need to go for a retreat for that, because you know how to handle the stress. All the diseases are psychosomatic, and out of which majority of them are stress related. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't have stress. You should have positive stress. That means for strengthening, like, I take a dumbbell and do this muscle development. Mind also has to be developed in the same way. That's exactly why we are following Buddha Dhamma, to strengthen mind like body.
Controlled stress.
Not controlled, it is positive stress response rather than negative stress. Negative stress response is blurting without reasoning. I have no idea why I'm doing certain things, but I'm impulsive. Just burst open. Like, your dam is burst open. There's nothing to stop. Then can't help it. Bobby, have you gone on a overdrive? You're gone out of video.
No, Vilaji, I just went to kitchen to see something to take other room, So
Okay. No worries.
I was just hearing.
I'm just what I can say, pulling your leg.
But I was hearing it. Yeah.
No worries. So we need to work out in a way that it doesn't get here or there, and they both will change your chemical thing. So Kama Sukhalakanu yoga will make excitement too much. Attakila Matanu yoga will make your happy hormone go to sleep. So you get into depression. So those people who take Buddha Dhamma, majority of them land up in Attakila Matanu yoga because they see everything as gloomy. Everything is dukkha. And when that happens, he lacks interest, chanda, which means the happy hormones have gone into sleep mode. And hence his endorphins are not working. Gets a pain. All the time pain, all the time pain. And then what happens? It brings in suicidal tendency. So what does he do? It's suicide. So depression brings in suicide. Why? Because you see it gloomy. Obviously, when you're gloomy, you can't take any action. It's a reaction. Or you do something stupid as committing suicide. So let's say I have a pain in my shoulder and my teacher says it is some vedana. You look at sensation. It's wrong. Why? Because I need to know why I'm getting this pain. It's not samvedana. It doesn't go because it's physical. So I need to know where is the physical boundary, where is the mental boundary. I can't put everything as physical or mental and leave it to the rest. No, I need to know what chemical is driving what and be sure that it is addressed in a proper way. So I need to go to a physiotherapist to show this. What if it is psycho? I need to go to a psychiatrist. Just like I went to a physiotherapist to show his hand, and he's going to rotate and see whether he has a pain here. So then he will check through X-ray or something. What's the X-ray to this? MRI. And then they're going to take my blood sample and look at how things are, and then you'll come to see what is the lacking. So if I have B12 lacking, and if I have D3 lacking, and if I have many other lacking things, then they have to be fed up. Otherwise, the brain chemicals are showing up things. So the hallucination has started. I'm hallucinating. I require medical care, at least a psychiatric care or psychotherapist care. Care. I can't just say sensation, anicca, or anitya, and say, no, that doesn't change anything. It gets worse. So I need to know the chemistry behind biology. It's a biological response, not even a physical response, the biological response. Not that I need to know the entire thing, at least something I need to know. So when this is coming, I know, this is because of I'm not having interest. So chanda mulaka avuso sabbe dhamma. So I'm not interested. My dopamine has gone down. Yes, something I did for the dopamine to go down. So let me see, what did I do for the dopamine to go away? Why am I losing interest? Then
Yeah, you basically.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was saying you basically see as anatta. You see conditions for certain things, right? Condition for the dopamine dropping, and you inquire, why did that happen? And then instead of fighting, oh, why am I feeling this way or that way, you just have curiosity towards it, and then you can fix it.
Yes, absolutely. So you need to know exactly why things are not working and fix it. That's it. Then you're done. Then it becomes perfectly all right. So then that pain is gone. See, I come and talk to you, Chirag, and then you give me some antidotes for my pain. I feel very happy. So what happened? My interest level went up. That means dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, all of that started working because oxytocin is social. So basically, when I came to you and you spoke to me very nicely, made me feel bonded, you, right? And that's exactly what I wanted. I was feeling alienated. So I came to you and you said very nice words and you said, you didn't shout at me, you didn't react, you didn't comment, you didn't compare, you didn't do anything. Instead, you understood my problem. And then you said, Vilas, I think you need to do this way. And that's all I wanted. I didn't want any suggestion or solution. I just wanted to talk to someone. So sometimes when we are low, we want to talk to someone because it is depressing in life. So what to do? That person should have very high level of energy, ATP, so that he can then give as gift to this person by not taking it himself, but is listening to him, is convincing, not convincing, he's caring him, that don't worry, Vilas, this is fine. It happens. It also happened to me once. Don't worry. That's all what I want. The moment oxytocin goes up, once oxytocin is up, serotonin starts to fill up. I feel relieved. And the stress hormones are gone. The cortisol reduces because you spoke to me so well. And I tell Ariu, you know what? I spoke to Chirag. He's such a gentleman. You're very lucky to be with Chirag. Says, oh, okay, fine. I'm now in China. I don't know, when I go back to US, I'll find out. But it's fine. I mean, you are happy with Chirag, right? And then I say, yeah, I'm very happy with Chirag. But earlier you were complaining, Ariu, please don't talk anything about Chirag. I'm telling you. Why? Because now he is taking out my ATP. And now I don't want to lose you. That's dependency. And that shouldn't happen. Because that is what is attachment. So next time you talk ugly to me, and again I go on overdrive. So now it becomes your responsibility to talk to me very nicely all the time, which may not happen because it is anicca. The conditions can change, the situations can change. But in my mind, Chirag is always like this. And how do you maintain that? So you'll start losing energy. to maintain the relationship. Ultimately, you see, Chirag, it's just a chemical. After all, Vilas is a chemical.
Symbol CH.
Yes. Even I need to go, Ariu. It's been long. Otherwise, I have to finish all physics, chemistry, mathematics, and biology today itself. Okay. All right. Great day and great evening. And we meet back tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.